video I'm going to discuss how to draft patterns, corset patterns, from the variety of pattern books that there are out there. This is industry standard. This is by Nora Waugh. It is Corsets and Crinolines, and she did research and meticulously drafted patterns from actual period garments. And they are not adapted for modern bodies, but it certainly gives you an indication of where the seaming and the boning and the construction might, how that might all be. This is Jean Honeysett's books. She does the same, only she does adapt the patterns to a modern body, and this is in scale. It's on a grid. 1 square equals 1 inch, and that makes it very easy to grade up. This is another great book that shows you the patterning and talks you through that as well. This is an excellent basic construction book, and it takes you through all of the steps of cutting and fitting the corsets. There are also patterns that you can buy that are quite good. This one's an industry favorite. The book that I'm going to be teaching from is this book. It has beautiful pictures, which we all love. It has a diagram, it has some description of it, and then in inches there is a scale, and you can grade this up or grid this out, which is what I'm going to be showing you today. So working out of this book, this beautiful corset is the one we're going to be working on in our class. And this is the description and a drawing of the front and the back and a description of that. And then here, beautifully, meticulously done, is a scale drawing of the pattern pieces. And this is in inches, which for us in the United States is very handy as opposed to centimeters. Many of the European books are in centimeters, so you just need to do that conversion. I started by drawing a waistline in my book. Then I realized that I wanted to keep my book clean, so what I do is I make a copy and start drawing my 2-inch grid on this, just with a ruler and a pencil. There are small 1/8-inch grids, and then every inch there's a slightly darker line. So it's very easy to see where you're at as we plot out the grid for this corset. So there are a couple different methods you can use to grid up this pattern. This has grids, fine lines that indicate on the scale every 1 inch. Every square here is 1 inch. You can either use just plain drafting paper and grid that up yourself. Some people like to use gridded up paper. This happens to be a Pellon product. Pellon is the brand, and you can see it has the 1-inch grids on it, printed on it already. Whatever you want to use is fine. I tend to use the brown paper. So here's the Xerox copy from the book, and I've drawn a waistline here, and then with my ruler, every 2 squares, and each square indicates 1 inch, so every 2 squares on this paper, I've drawn a horizontal line all the way up to the top, and then every 2 squares all the way down to the bottom. Then I'm going to set aside that, and I'm going to draw a pencil line all the way across the paper, and this is going to be my waistline. So I'm going to grid up this pattern. I'm going to start at the waist and grid down to the bottom, and then I'm going to grid it up to the top, and then down on the next piece, up to the top, and so on. I'm going to replicate this in the larger scale on the brown paper. So let's do the front piece. So let's begin by plotting or gridding out the center front line from the waist down. I've already marked at 2-inch increments on these very light pencil lines, so I can count how many squares this is. And it is 2, 4, 6.5 squares. So the center front edge is 6.5 inches below the waistline. So let's mark 6.5 inches. There's 6.5. Since I'm at the center front, why don't I mark all the way up as well? 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8 inches up makes that the center front. I'm going to be brave and mark this in Sharpie so that you can see it better, but normally I would never draft patterns in Sharpie. There's my top, there's my bottom, there's my waist. While I'm at it, so that you can see what that waist line is, let's do this. So that's my waist. So from the center front on the paper over, it is 1, 2.25 inches, 2.25 squares on the scaled page here, which corresponds to 2.25 inches here. So that's how wide this corresponds to here. So from the waist down 2 inches, we are at 2 3/8. So I'm moving my ruler down. Here's the 2-inch width of the ruler, and moving this over. I'm going to make a little dot at 2 3/8. The next 2-inch increment down is the same 2 3/8. So I'll make a little dot there. And then the next, this corner doesn't go all the way to the 2 inches. It's about at 5/8. So that is 1 5/8. So the next dot is 1 5/8 inch down, and it is ever so slightly that way. So I'm going to make it be 1 and almost a half. So how that plots out then in the marker is this way, and with the ruler, and then you can see in this page there's a curve, so I'll freehand that, something like that. And there is my center front and my side front there. So let's plot from the waist up. So 2 inches up, it is 1, 2 3/8 again. This guy. There we go. 2 inches up from there, or 4 inches up from the waist. It is 1, 2, 1, 2 3/4. So 2 3/4. So that is 1, 2. The third increment up from the waist is 1, 2, 3 3/8. 3 3/8. That is this one, 1, 2, 3. And then the fourth increment up from the waist is 1, 2, 3 7/8. 3 7/8. And it is a 1/2 inch above that for that corner. So there's our corner. There's the flare. You would repeat that function, all of those steps, for each of the other pieces and across the back, replicating this in the scaled up or the gridded up scale on the brown paper. That's how you grade this up. All right, so here I've graded up, whatever you want to call it. We have expanded these 2 pages from the Jill Salen book page 72, 73. And here is the pattern in scale to a human form. Here at center back, this is where a bone goes. The boning pattern is shown on the page from the book, so I like to note where all those bones are. I like to mark where my waistline is. I like the safety of an arrow, and when I cut, I do a small arrow pointing up in my seam allowance just so that all my stitchers know which way's up. I think that's important. How you number or letter so that the seams will always go together the way you want them to. How you do that is entirely up to you. I do center back, side back back, side seam. Other people do numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so on. It doesn't matter as long as it helps you keep track. Here on the front, I like to measure the bust and write that in, the waist and write that, and the hip and write that in. That way I always know what size this draft is. And it's nice to give some credit to the book and the author where you found this so that you can find your way back to it should you ever need to. Now what I do is I save this draft and I copy it so that I have this draft at all times for the rest of my career. So that's how you grade up from a book the patterns that you find there.